Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 32 of the RSS podcast. In today's episode, we have a quick little catch up and then we hit it with some recent sporting news. We talk about Liverpool's win and the Jota tackle, as well as the Heineken Champions Cup final and NHL playoffs. Straight after that, we dive straight into our topic, which is the role sport can have on academic performance. Here, we talk about some articles and then we bring in some reasons why we think what we think, really, and then possible negatives. Let's dive straight into this episode. Please remember to follow, like, and share. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Real Sports Science Podcast. It's episode 32 with Matt and David. Let's go. Come on. How you doing, Matt? You look like you got
Yeah, I'm doing
deafened
good,
by
mate.
that intro.
It is so loud. Really loud.
It is loud. It is loud. How was your day? How was your day? Monday evening. It's another late one. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday, we just recorded this. But it's
Keeping
Monday.
it
It's
fresh, eh?
Monday. It's holiday Monday, and your boy has a little beveragino in his hand as well.
That how the other half live. I've been stuck at work all day. Jeez, must be nice.
It was because my parents have been visiting, um, and there was just a bottle open, and I was making dinner. I was like, that looks interesting. So poured myself a little glass, and here we are.
David's
Tell you
feeling
what, though.
loosey goosey.
My mom came in. My mom came and visited. She was here. When did she get here? The 18th of April. And the plan was for her. She's going to be here a week and then leave the following Tuesday. It came to Friday. My birthday was Wednesday or something like that. Wednesday or Thursday. It comes to Friday, and my dad and brother show up at my front door, which was sick. Like, huge surprise that they flew over from Canada over here to come visit me. And then turns out they stayed for another week till Friday. Just this
That's
past Friday gone.
amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome to see them. Super surprised. I'm planning on heading back there in August, so I was expecting to see them then, but to see them a bit earlier, and obviously here was awesome. So got to kind of
Mm.
show them around the big town of Loughborough. Went to Nottingham with them.
Yeah.
I went down yesterday to London because they left Loughborough on Friday and then spent the weekend in London. So I went down to London and we kind of spent the day there. We went on this boat tour on the Thames, and it was really fun. Like, I learned actually so many. Do you know there's a pub down there that's owned by Gandalf? Not Gandalf, but the guy who plays Gandalf, Ian something.
Oh, okay. Ian McKenton or something
Like,
like that.
yeah, it's Mick something. But
Oh,
anyways,
fair.
like we yeah, he owns a pub down there called Grapes, and so many
Oh,
interesting
fair.
facts that we learned about, like pirates and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and like the history of the Thames and London itself. So it was
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
was sick.
decent then.
Yeah, but I am so behind on work now because obviously, like, I took some days off and planned to take some days off when my mom was here, but then obviously my family was here as well for an extra week and a bit. So yeah, boys got some catching up to do. It's gonna probably be a couple late nights this week, but that's fine.
A little, yeah, a little grind, a little bit of a grind, eh?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at least, you know what? You're putting the RSS podcast first. Fair play to you.
You got to. Hey, Tuesday doesn't
That's
wait around for no one.
you got to.
Tuesday 6:30
No.
doesn't wait for no one. So you got to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
boy.
How was your week?
Boring, mate. Life's boring. Just worked and that's about it. Sorry, no news there. Rugby season's finished, so nothing's going on in my life. Anyway, sports news. I'll tell you what, Liverpool's win against Tottenham was amazing. 4-3. What a game. So, David, I sent you, well, I put a link of the video in there. Have you seen that tackle?
I haven't. I haven't. Should I watch it right now? Let me watch it
Go,
right
live
now.
reaction.
Yeah. Okay. So seven goal thriller
So,
sudden death. Liverpool 4-3 over Tottenham.
so go
It's
2 minutes, I think, 2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Oh, it's right at the end. What is Holy moly! I just saw people flying. Okay,
Look at that.
here it is.
Ugh.
Okay, here it is. Jeez. Oh,
Yeah,
pause real
collected
quick.
it right in the skull.
It looks like he just like booted his face. That was an MMA style tackle.
Like,
Hang on, let me.
do you know what I mean? Apparently, he had to get
Who's
some
that?
stitches as well. And the worst thing is, so that player didn't get sent off or anything that did the tackle, and he
Yeah.
was the guy that scored the game-winning goal, the match-winning goal in like the 95th
No
minute, I
way.
think.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
so
I'm gonna watch
bit
it
of a
one more
long
time.
day.
He barely. I mean, that's a pretty crazy tackle. He did not really touch him that hard, but did he need a couple zips?
Yeah, but then that's what I thought. That's what I thought. But then it's the fact that like it is a sharp metal stud. Like all it needs is just a little clip, and then it can still slice you open at the end of the day.
Definitely, definitely. No, to be fair, like that
Um,
was crazy. Football just
compared to ice hockey.
really. You're like, David,
No,
shut
I know
up.
what you
I
mean.
know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say, David. I don't want to hear it.
No, I agree. I agree. Rugby as well. Football's different level with
We'll get into NHL real like before like in a bit. Or is that next? No. I'll talk about NHL playoffs in a second. But just on that note, a guy had to go off because he got a skate to the face just a couple games ago. He went off and got 75. Did you see pictures of it? Got 75 stitches, like right across, just over the eye, just under the eye, I guess. Came back the next game, like the same game.
yeah. Did you see the way it happened as well?
Yeah, like right in the paint, like right by the goalie. It was all crazy, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I nearly said the stud. The skate was up, and then it just pushed his helmet, and then just ching straight
Yeah,
off there. Love to see it.
nuts.
Ugh.
75 zips. But to be fair though, that was a pretty crazy tackle. Like you don't see that in football every day. So I mean, if you're
No,
gonna go,
no.
if you're gonna roll around the ground for something, it might as well be something like that.
At least you had to get stitches. Yeah, I agree. But also, I
Yeah,
hope he's okay. Right, David,
he
player
did.
welfare.
He
Come
did
on.
bounce his head off of the studs. Like, pretty.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's football news for all you football fans out there. That's the football one. Rugby fans, nice and short and sweet. So the Heineken European Champions Cup final will be La Rochelle versus Leinster after La Rochelle dismantled Exeter. I thought Exeter were looking good in the first 10 minutes, and then they just ran away with the game. I mean, you should have seen it. The stadium was filled with yellow and black flags just everywhere. Like I don't know how many people, but it looked amazing. And speaking of rugby, England women's team, the Red Roses, have become, well, they won the Grand Slam Six Nations, so they're the Six Nations champions, won every single game, so massive congratulations to them.
Did they just play Scotland yesterday?
Nah,
Oh
France.
they played
They played,
France the day they played France, right? Was that Saturday?
yeah,
They played
Saturday.
France on Saturday, right? Yeah. I watched the end
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that game. But Scotland played
Nice, nice.
yesterday, didn't they? They played
And
someone.
yeah, they beat Ireland. I think they
Okay.
beat Ireland.
Right.
But yeah, no, so massive congratulations, and I'm looking forward to watching the final. Now, for all you Canadians out there and Americans and hockey fans, don't know why
Hockey
I'm starting
fans
to
all
label
over.
people. Yeah, David, take it away.
That's right. Come on, you're a hockey fan now too, Canucks. Unfortunately, the Canucks aren't in the playoffs, but the first round of the NHL
Yeah, shock.
playoffs saw probably one of the biggest upsets maybe in NHL history, or at least like recent NHL history. So the Boston Bruins came into the playoffs winning the President's Trophy, meaning they had the most points in the NHL of any team. They also had like I think the winningest record of any NHL team. I don't want to say in the history of the NHL because that seems a little crazy, but it broke records. Like they broke records for their win loss like ratio or whatever. Anyway, they went up. So for anyone who doesn't know how NHL playoffs works, it's like the NBA. So you play a bunch of best out of 7 series against the same team, and then if you win that best out of 7 series, you move on to the next team. So Boston played Florida Panthers, and they went up 3 games to 1. So they've got it in the bag. Like they just need to pull out one more win. They ended up losing 4 games to 3. So Florida won 3 consecutive games, one in overtime on game 7. And so they kicked out Boston, which was no one saw coming except for all the Florida players, as they say. Um, but anyways, huge upset, huge upset. Also, one more news: the Maple Leafs broke the 19-year curse of getting into round 2. Put your hands down. You're a Canucks fan. You're not cheering for the
No,
Maple Leafs.
yeah, no, but I watched All or Nothing Toronto Maple Leafs, so I know a bit
Fine,
of that.
fine. Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, there's only 2 Canadian teams left, so we got to cheer for the Maple Leafs and Edmonton Oilers, even though we don't want to. Yeah, but that's fine. It's been as a non Maple Leafs fan kind of funny seeing them get kicked, like having unreal seasons and then getting kicked out in the first round for the last few years, even though on paper they have just an absolute
Oh,
wagon of a team. So
yeah.
I wouldn't have hated if they went out first round, but also you got to support the Canadian teams because we got to bring the cup back to Canada at some point.
Mm,
So
the
they
Stanley Cup for
they
anyone who
won
doesn't know.
the Stanley Cup, the championships of the NHL. Uh, so they won again. They knocked out the reigning champs and another wagon of a team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who've been just an absolute dynasty in the last 6-7 years. Like they've just been unstoppable. So they've won multiple times over the last few years. Anyways, Boston gets kicked out. That feels good as a Canucks fan, as you'll know. And Maple Leafs, they move on to the second round, which is great for Canada. So well done, Maple Leafs. That's it. That's all I got for NHL news.
So yeah, for this topic, David, we've got does participating in sports improve academic performance? Now I know like there's a not an old wives' tale, but there's a saying, like doing sport must help you academically, or you hear about all these professional sportsmen. I don't know what the ratio is, but a lot of them are very academically like well, I mean, they've got degrees. It's not like they're slacking. I know probably in the NFL not as much, but because you hear about the stories there. But like, I don't know. You always hear about it, and I thought, why not have a little debate about it? So should we just give our hypotheses and why, and then we can
Ooh.
dive into some of the studies.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, what do you think?
It is interesting. I guess it depends, like participating in sports and what kind of level. Like, are we talking about like recreational sports will improve academic performance,
Yeah,
like playing football on a 11 or 5-a-side football team once a week or something, like recreational? Because then I would say absolutely, just because of like the improvement of mental health, cognitive function, like what sport or like healthy activity, recreational activity, or fitness does on like
yeah,
cognitive function and that.
yeah.
So
I mean,
so I
like
guess it,
massively. You've got to look at the levels. So,
yeah, I guess that's the difficulty I have. I guess like I would say we hypothesize, aka I hypothesize that participating in sports will improve academic performance.
I agree. That's a very good one.
Nice.
And I'll tell you what, David, the University of Cambridge agrees with you. So,
Oh,
an article I found was that the University of Cambridge found that undergraduate students who participated in university level sport performed just as well as other students academically, if not better. So, the details of the samples used was over 4,000 Tripos, I don't know,
yeah. What
some
does that
Cambridge
mean?
best friend sort of stuff. Results of undergraduate, maybe like a study tool or something, like a survey tool. Of undergraduate students who had represented the university in their sport and achieved a blue, half blue, or club colours from 2005 to 2016, were then compared to TRIPO's results or like survey results of the undergraduate population as a whole during the same period. So the key findings of this study were basically that the percentage of first class results achieved by undergraduate sports people was 28.4%, and it was greater than the percentage achieved by undergraduates in the university as a whole. So there were 23.7%, which is quite, I mean, it's not drastic, but there's definitely like a bit of significance there. And then another
I
one,
just
sorry,
googled
is oh yeah,
I just googled what is the Cambridge TriPost system.
What is it?
I thought you froze. You're not just holding up you're just crossing your fingers. The TriPost system.
Did I get it right?
All undergrad courses are assessed through examinations in broad subject areas called triposes. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Triposes. So it's like their testing system. Each
Oh,
tri
so survey. We'll call it survey, David.
Well, no, it's like an exam, not a survey.
Yeah, yeah.
Each tripos is divided into one or more parts, and you need to complete a number of parts in one or more triposes to qualify for a BA degree. So it's like their exam system.
And yeah.
So they looked at the
Okay.
results of their
Fair enough.
exams.
Yeah. And then the next key finding was that the percentage of upper second class results achieved by undergraduate sports people was 63%, which was greater than the percentage achieved by undergraduates in the university as a whole, which was 51.8%. Lastly, the percentage of lower second and third class results achieved by undergraduate sports people was lower than the undergraduates in the university as a whole. Obviously, there's so many there's so many factors that can play into that, but I mean, yeah, it's just a little bit of a study, hey.
A little bit.
And then
4,000 tripos from
yeah,
2005 to 2016. 11
just a
years.
little.
I guess that's a cool thing about like universities. You just have mega data sets that you could actually use. That's
Yeah, that you
interesting.
can
So
access really.
yeah. So the first one, I just want to percentage of first class results achieved by undergraduate sports people. So undergrad people
Participate in sports.
who played sports was greater than the percentage achieved by undergraduates in the university as a whole.
Yeah.
That's
The
interesting though.
only
So
issue is
yeah, go ahead.
I did yeah, the only issue with that study is I couldn't find like what they determined sports people was. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like what was the benchmark to become to be classified as a sports person?
Yeah, it's also interesting that they didn't. At least they only they compared the percentage of sports people to the percentage of the university as a whole. Which does the university as a whole also include the sports people? So they're like
Yeah.
they're being compared to an average, which they're a part of as well. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Strange.
it does. It looks like the sports people got better results than
Mm.
the university as a whole, or people who didn't play in sports. Yeah.
Yeah. And then to follow on from that, there was a study from the University of Sydney in which this was a bit better, but they found that just quickly a little disclaimer, they found like over this 115 studies that was, researched and reviewed, some of them were a bit dodgy, like a bit spotty, and the research isn't as high quality as you would think around that. So that's a future part of research or a limitation to this sort of topic. However, the research team from the University of Sydney's Charles Perkins Centre reviewed, combined, and analysed the results of 115 studies conducted worldwide. Majority were from the US, with a total of more than 1 million students aged between about 9 years old to 18 years old. And they found that overall sports participation had a small but positive effect on academic performance, but the relationship was strengthened when the sport was conducted during school hours and at a moderate dose of around 1 to 2 hours a week. And then from Dr. Owen, one of the researchers from that team, said that we think we are seeing this link because the sport is taking place immediately before the academic lessons and therefore could have an immediate effect on a children's attention and time on task. But we'd need larger, more comprehensive experimental studies to confirm that.
So they did it not
And
on university students, but like grade school
yeah, so like
kids.
9 years old to 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How difficult would
So
it
then it
be
switches it
studying
up a
this
bit.
topic? It'd be so difficult because
Oh, I mean,
so many things are coming into play. Whether they could be
mm,
playing sports, but just have an unbelievable stressful home life, so their academics aren't great. Or
yeah,
maybe they're unreal. They play sports, but they're not getting. Maybe they have some sort of learning disability that obviously doesn't show up when they play sports, but they don't get the right um, attention or help that they need when
Yeah.
they're doing their academics.
No, I mean,
Mm.
there's so many different factors, and I think it's also like, I don't know, it's strange, um, because you can't you can't manage everything, you can't make everything a controlled variable. It's just going to be too difficult,
Yeah,
especially 9 years old, eh?
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
why
yeah,
did
I mean,
you played sports, right, when you did your undergrad?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think I'm the outlier, David. I'm not gonna lie.
you didn't. Like you didn't. Let's like
No,
not sports, but like physical activity. You did physical activity when you did your
no,
undergrad.
sorry. I did do sports, but I think I didn't. I don't know if that made me smarter. I don't know.
Oh, that's yeah, I see
That's
what
the
you
only issue.
mean. They're
No,
like, "Ooh, outlier,
from a
get that
personal
guy out of the
experience,
study."
yeah, he's way off that forest plot. Get him
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Um, no, I think in all honesty that I, all jokes aside, I genuinely think if I wasn't doing sport, I don't know if that would have made me better academically. I think it allowed me to sort of de-stress, release some of the emotions that I had pent up inside, and release some of that energy that I needed to get out. Otherwise, I would have been sat down and been a complete nightmare, I think, looking back now. Um, and not only that, you just meet people who can give you that same drive. So a good example was when I was playing football. There was this one guy on the team that like me and him were like really good mates, and from that I could see he was really doing well. He was doing really well academically, so that spurred me on to start studying more, and like being that me and him would study together, so that would help me progress further. You got
Hmm.
to surround yourself with people that are have that drive, have that determination, and in sports, I mean, you need massive amounts of discipline if you want to get to that next level. So yeah,
Hmm. It is interesting. Like I like what you said about kind of um, surrounding yourself with people. And this is such a huge generalization, so maybe I should say it, but like I don't know if you're on average, if you're like if the gym is important to you or getting out and playing football is important to you, even if you really enjoy having beers after you play your five-a-side football team, you know, like chances are as a whole you're probably a little bit more mindful of like your health and well-being than somebody who doesn't. And again, that's such a generalization, but I guess that's just like my own experiences maybe, and
yeah,
maybe I've just gotten lucky with like the group of people that I've gotten to know that like are really into whatever exercise or sport or playing sport at a high level, especially if you're playing sport at a high level. Like if you're trying to do that and be like in university or be doing good in academics, you can't party every weekend. Like you just can't,
mm,
and you won't because you're serious about your sport. So it kind of comes hand in hand. And again, that's like
fair.
such a huge generalization, but and I guess that's just my experience. Like it seems being serious about like sport, even if it's just in a recreational sense, means that you at least are aware of like health, well-being, eating healthy, getting in your protein, which probably then extends out to
No,
like your academics just because you're healthy. Your turn.
yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry, sorry. Um, I, I agree with you, and I don't think it's, I guess it is a bit of a generalization, but I feel like in those environments, in those sporting environments, it requires discipline to turn up every day and to go through so many hours of practice, um, in order to like compete in university level or even some school levels as well. You're putting in hours of practice to perfect a task that you're setting yourself out to do, where you're holding yourself accountable and you have to turn up. So then that creates discipline, that creates determination for some people, which think can then be translated into your academics in a way.
Yeah.
And I mean, you in order to perform at your best, you are more healthy, you are more mindful of things that you do, things that, going out drinking, do I want to do that? Or going out eating this every day, oh, it affects my performance, it makes me feel crappy. So then you are 100% more mindful. Um, yeah, so and I guess you can see some parts of that are transferable to academics, because I mean, if you've just finished, say, like a big thing is the wrestlers in America, apparently they're the most like disciplined ever because they got to make the weight, they got to be the strongest
Mm.
possible. And the competition is very, very tough. But they've got that drive, and like if you've got an exam coming up and you're like, oh, I can revise, you've managed to be disciplined in something, you can transfer it then. So you'll be like, no, actually, I've got to stick to this. I've got to stick to this. I can't just sack it off. I
Yeah.
guess, yeah.
Especially like again elite
Um,
sport or like competitive sport because you have to be so regimented with your time. You kind of just get used to that. I think on the other side, kind of, and I thought of this when you were reading the studies. I wonder if we're talking about just like competitive high level sports like NCAA or that, um, where they're like competing at a
mm,
high level, so not just recreational. But I wonder if like because they're playing at a high level, if they just get more also resources to help with their academics because obviously
yeah.
they don't have a lot of time. So I wonder if it's like like if we're talking again purely like high level sports, is it's not actually a direct like causation of play sports and be good at academics, but like
Yeah.
because you're playing high level sports and don't have a lot of time, you get a lot of resources from the university to also excel at academics that people who don't play sports at a high level don't have access to, or maybe don't know they have access to it or whatever. So I don't know, I guess that's just
Yeah,
like a
I mean
playing devil's
that's a
advocate
perfect
of the
argument
other
as well.
side.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, you look at all this Last Chance Use things that came out, on Netflix, and I thought that was a great show because you see all these students who aren't that academically in front. You know what I mean? They haven't pushed that boundaries. They're not going to these D1 colleges or universities.
Yeah.
So, then and you see the help that they get, the extra help they get just because they are football players. There's, I forgot her name, but this poor woman's just chasing all these football players around saying, "Oh, why haven't you turned up to class? Why haven't you done this?" So there are yeah, consequences that they've also got to deal with, and they do get a massive amount of help because I mean, if you're a student who's not into sport, then do you get that same treatment of someone running you down and like making sure that you're turning up to your class? Do they
Yeah.
care that much? And then
Mm,
that I think that was into the mental health area. But one
mm,
thing I wanted to mention was that the Cambridge study included testimonials from some of the students that went through that process, and they said that sport and physical activity can provide an effective release from academic studies, improve mental health, and give students the opportunity to develop valuable social and support networks. Furthermore, another part was that employers recognize the benefits of sport in developing career enhancing qualities, with more than 9 in 10 of those questioned identifying a clear link between university sport participation and valuable skills and strengths in potential employees. Finally, in a 2013 Bucks questionnaire, results were as follows: more than half of graduates reported that that sporting involvement helped them develop teamwork skills and leadership qualities in the workplace.
hmm.
So I guess that just backs up the transferability that you
Yeah.
can see, or that people have mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is difficult. But with all the studies coming out more, especially in recent times, that just any participation in physical activity can help reduce anxiety.
Mm,
If even if you're feeling alone, like then you find people that you can sort of share things with and build memories together, just a community you feel a part of. It's great. You know what I mean? And then that can take away the stress of exams or
mm.
academic studies that are coming up. All that pressure you put, you feel like it's a massive release because of all that dopamine. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder. It's so interesting. Like obviously the positive effects of exercise and physical activity is very well known on health and wellness and mental health, physical health. And so obviously like doing physical activity is so important, and forgetting about like the community side of it and getting plugged in and kind of being known in a community, which I think at the end of the day everyone just wants to be known and have a community that they can rely on when things don't go
Mm.
well. I wonder if like I wonder if for people who aren't really into physical activity, and maybe they just do physical activity just to tick a box. Like they go to a gym for 45 minutes to do a little bit so that they kind of tick that box, but they don't get that community side of it, which I think is huge just from personal experiences of meeting people who are kind of like-minded than you. I wonder if like that can also come from something else that's not sport related, but like finding things that you really love doing, a hobby, and then finding a group of people that enjoy doing that as well. I'm trying to think of an example, but like sport is the only
Well,
thing
no,
that I do. Or like music. I like music, finding a music group, that maybe likes that that's where you find your community, because I do think that that community side of it is such a huge part. Sorry. This wine has gotten to me apparently. I
jeez.
haven't even finished one glass. Health and wellness.
There you go. Have a couple more.
Completely
Um,
reasonable.
yeah, but like what one thing is that you did say, and I just wanted to pull it up. So just a reason why, get a bit scientific with it. Just a reason why is that like so I've pulled this off from a study that I'll link below. So it's a common hypothesis to explain this generally accepted positive association is improved cognitive function and brain structure, which you said earlier. Donnelly, Donnelly et al. Bloody hell, if I drank wine as well, I'm losing it. Donnelly et al. Systematically reviewed evidence of the effects on physical activity on cognitive function, brain structure, and function in children and concluded that physical activity was beneficial. More recently, Valkenborgs et al. Systematically reviewed experimental medical imaging studies investigating the effects of physical activity on children and adolescents' brain structure and function. In terms of structural changes, physical activity can improve white matter integrity of the corpus callosum, a region on the brain important for cognitive processing, and it can also result in changes in the frontal lobe, which is responsible for executive processes, cognition, attention, and information processing. These changes in the brain and improved cognitive function could explain how physical activity improves academic performance. So, like, that's the thing. It's like, I wonder if, because a big thing is problem solving. So, a good one is from maths. Going through, maths and all of that stuff, a lot of that was problem solving. You get all those
Hmm.
you get all these worded
Difficulty worded.
like question.
Nice.
There you go. Amazing stuff, eh? You can tell I played sport and I'm at the outlier still. No, you get all these problems in maths that you've got to like use your brain and use all these different concepts and theories or stuff that you've been taught in lessons to try figure out the answer. And I guess using sports, that's the same thing really. You're playing a football game. You've got a team of 11. If you're the leader, or even if you're just a right back looking. You have to solve the problem. Okay, how do they keep getting past us? Well, they keep getting past us because they're sending balls over the top. How do we combat it? So it's a constant for that 90 minutes, two halves if you're lucky enough to play or good enough to play two halves. It's that constant problem solving. So I guess that obviously has to bring in muscle memory into when you have to problem solve in maths a bit later or like the next day.
Mm.
And then it's also that, yeah, there's got to be something more just, what was it? It was on the top of my mind. But yeah, it's a big thing. But then at the
Play
same
a bit of
time, a
sport, maybe
negative,
then
and
you'll maybe maybe play a bit more
yeah,
sport, then you'll think of
start doing star jumps.
it.
There you go,
Oh,
got it.
came
No,
back to me.
but like one of the negatives to combat that is essentially management. So time management by doing sports is that a detriment to actually your academics because by doing sports you get back, you're sweaty, you're tired, you're like, oh, I've got an exam tomorrow.
Yeah,
Can I
it's
be
way
bothered
more
to do it? I've
fun
had
to
a long
play
training session, so I've
sports
just been
than studying.
yeah, or or even like okay, I've just come back from like the weekly football, five-a-side football with my mates. They're going out for drinks, but I've got an exam tomorrow. Wait, no, that's got nothing to do with sport.
No, no, but it's true. It's
But you
true.
get me,
No,
like,
but it's true.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you play
it's a
on a
part of sport in a
five-a-side
way.
team
Yeah,
Wednesday. It's Wing Wednesday, so obviously you're gonna go out for a couple wings and a couple beveraginos with the boys afterwards,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it's like that community.
yeah,
Obvious.
and then
That's yeah. But you gotta study for an exam, whatever next week, and you're like, that's fine. I still got the weekend to do that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But then
time
you also
management.
think about
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it is difficult, but just strictly talking about sports, um, I guess the major thing I could say that's the biggest grey area around all of this is how much sport, like what level are we talking? Because I do see that, if you're in that elite level, it gives you discipline, but if you're in that sort of just playing it for fun, it could give you less discipline, so then less transferable, less. I mean, you're still problem solving, but is it as much as,
Right.
is it as much to what extent does that make it that academic performance greater or have an effect on it? So I guess there is a lot of grey area, but I just still deep down think that it has a massive, if you feel better about yourself just by doing, and there's so many studies out there saying just by doing 40 minutes or just by doing anything active, you feel so much better after. That will make you want to do more or make you feel like you can achieve more rather than just being cooped up inside and not doing anything. You're just going to see the same four walls, or you're just going to feel crap and nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Putting yourself out of your comfort zone will show you personally that you can do these things, which will therefore mean that you can study for this test, that you can get past these difficult issues when writing an essay or something,
Mm.
or a bit of coursework.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And like the time management thing is definitely the biggest thing. I feel right now I'm trying to
Mm.
figure out how to manage my time well to do all the things that I need to do for work. Um, but also still like have time for the gym and like doing sports just because I really enjoy it and obviously know the benefits that it brings. So I think that is really, really difficult
Yeah.
of finding those times. I think something that's interesting that I find is like often when I think I don't have time to go to the gym or play football or anything, I end up like I end up being like kind of down, and then I end up trying to do work because I really need to get going on it. But then I'm kind of like I almost get like not lazy, but I'm just not like I don't get good work done because I'm just sat here for hours and hours trying to do work and it's just draining. And I find actually what works better is if I intentionally take like breaks or I intentionally set time aside like no these 2 or this hour or this 45 minutes I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get something done and then come back. And I think on one side I just feel better coming back from the gym and like oh actually I feel way better now, let's get some work done. But two as well, I find like when I block out my time and or I block out my day, and I'm not very good at this all the time, but when I do it, when I block out my day very specifically, I get way better work, like much higher quality work done in less time than when I'd be like I have all day, I just got to grind this out, like I don't have time for the gym, and then I end up doing like I I do poor quality work, which takes longer to accomplish the same thing. When if I like blocked out my day and be like, no, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna crush this, and then I have this amount of time to get the work done. I get much higher quality work done in less time when I don't sacrifice the gym because I have so much to do. And I think sometimes you do just have to sacrifice the gym. So I'm not saying like, oh no, always go to the gym no matter how busy you are. I think sometimes you do. You do have to crack down. But as a whole, when I don't sacrifice the gym, block out my time, and be really intentional with my breaks and intentional with the time that I work, I get much higher quality work done, and I have no scientific
And I
evidence
was gonna.
for
Nah, well, I mean,
it.
still anecdotal is decent as well. And I was gonna ask you, like, would you ever sacrifice, going to the gym in order to continue doing work? At times you do have to, but like, I just don't think, as personally, how you and you said it then, but I was gonna ask you, like, personally, how do you feel when you know you've got something due the next day, but you still take time out to go to the gym? Are you more effective when you go to the gym and come back, or when you just spend the whole day doing the work? And you perfectly answered it then. And yeah, I have to agree with you. There's been times where I'm behind, and I know I'm behind, and I've got no time left, but I'll still make time to go to the gym because I know that little gap, that little break where I can just release everything that's pent up, allows me to. In turn, it's given me more ideas.
Mm.
Do you know, like, because you're
Yeah.
sat there, you're working, You're releasing all this pent up stuff. You
Mm.
even talking to friends, and from that it can spur like these ideas randomly. And yeah,
It is tough because at the end of the day, sometimes you do just have to sacrifice the gym or your plans, and you can't make five-a-side football that week because you got behind. Like this week, I know I probably won't be able to go to the gym as much than I usually do because I just have that much work that I need to get caught up on. But even in the course of the week, then not in the course of a day, but yeah, in the course of this week, I know, and this is actually a good reminder for me to do this is like, okay, be very, very. So I'll do this now. Like, be very um, deliberate in the days and the times that I decide to go to the gym. Like, I know that I need to get a lot of work done tomorrow morning because I've set that time aside in the afternoon for an hour or an hour and a half or whatever that I get to go to the not get to, but that I'm going to the gym regardless. And so I know that I need to be very diligent in the morning to get that work done. And then I know that at the gym I'm going to go hard so that because on Wednesday I'm not going to be able to go to the gym and I'll be really diligent in my work so that on Thursday that's a day where again like that's I'm going to for sure go to the gym. So I think then like even it's
I
not
guess
just
it
a
also,
day to day thing but over the course of like a week and a month or whatever.
I guess it also
Plus
is
you have
just
something to
like
look
helps set
forward to.
that routine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, massively. So I guess in summary, I would say that it does help. There are some negatives, but if done properly, if done with balance, and not over excessive, just obviously don't just do sport and then hope the 15 minutes of work you're going to do for that day is going to cover it. But
Yeah.
with balance, I definitely think it is a massive advantage if you can just join any sport, trial anything, even just spend time in the gym or meet someone. You never know who you're going to meet in the gym. You can meet your next best friend, eh? And then you
Next
guys can study
girlfriend. That's
together.
where I met
But
my
no,
girlfriend. Not a big deal. Humble brag.
yeah, there you go.
Who Matt knows, who
But no,
Matt knows
I
and
mean,
gets annoyed at on Instagram that we're so happy.
uh, in summary, that's why I need to do some more sport. You know what? I'm going to trial about 5 different sports. Is bungee jumping without the cord a sport, by the way, David? Is that a sport? I don't know. I'll have a double check after.
I think it
Skydiving
is, but
without a
it's a
parachute.
limited time
Um,
membership, I think.
yeah, yeah. Just a one-off payment. Decent.
One
I don't
off.
mind that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. All in all, summary, I would say I agree. I think it does help with academic performance. To what extent, I don't think I'll ever know, and I don't think anyone will ever be able to be that strict on a select sample. And there's so many
Yeah,
different
yeah.
variables that you've got to take into
Yeah,
account.
but the no like we know that physical activity is so good for you. And the beauty of it is like obviously the younger you start the better because our brains are so plastic and and
Mm,
changeable when we're young. But at any point in our lives, like the more active you can get, the better. Like get outside, get some fresh air, enjoy the sun, especially now as the weather's getting better. Get that vitamin D, you know? Like it and I think for people who haven't grown up active, like I would encourage them to try a lot of different things and find something that you really enjoy doing. Whatever that is, like
mm,
whether that's like dance classes or walking groups or like lawn bowling. There's so many different ways to get active. I think especially maybe young people, they think, "Oh, I need to get active and do physical activity." And then they say that means I need to go to the gym. But maybe they don't and walk on the treadmill or lift weights, but maybe they don't like doing that. So then they never end up like
mm.
following through long term on doing that. But like physical activity isn't just in the gym, you know? Like it's going for walks. If you enjoy going on bike rides around it, like I said, lawn bowling. I don't know, maybe some bingo clubs get super into it and you're jumping up and down. Who knows? Zumba
Yeah.
classes. You're like there's so many different ways that you can get active and do physical activity that you will find one that you enjoy. Like no doubt about it, you'll find some form of physical activity with a group of people that you enjoy doing. So like find those places, and don't think that you have to limit yourself to like the gym or something like that.
No, Very well put. Very well put. And I just think I'll leave it on these two quotes. Um, One from Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The next one would be: "How does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them?" Seneca. So essentially, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. You know. So I mean, there's a lot you can take from that. Make of that what you will. But yeah, if you find yourself in a hole, just stop digging. Just take a minute. Take a minute to appreciate where you are in life. Take a minute to appreciate everything you've done. Have a look back and be grateful for the certain things, and use that as inspiration to keep on going. Use tomorrow. What do they call tomorrow's no, the present is called the present because it's a gift. There you go, something like that from Kung Fu Panda. Hey, everybody was kung fu fighting.
Do, 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 do. And
But
on that note,
there you
on
go.
those wise words from Matt Cowley, we are the Real Sports Science Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Spotify, or wherever you find your podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because things are only going up from here. We're excited you're on this ride with us. Let us know what you think about this podcast and any other podcast that we've posted. We are the Real Sports Science Podcast. We're out.